This presentation is designed to help you feel more confident and informed as you prepare for the at-home program in-home assessment. We'll walk through what the at-home program is, what the assessors are looking for, and most importantly, how you can clearly and effectively communicate your child's daily care needs. Your goal is to make sure the ministry and the assessors get a full and accurate picture of what life is really like in your home as you provide support for your child during their daily living skills. The at-home program offers financial assistance to families caring for children or teens under the age of 16 who have severe disabilities or complex medical needs and are living at home in the province of British Columbia, Canada. The at-home program consists of two main types of benefits. First is the medical benefits, which are for children aged 17 or 18 and under. The medical benefits cover medically necessary equipment and supplies, such as wheelchairs and walkers, hospital beds and positioning devices, specialized car seats, biomedical equipment, and incontinence supplies, such as diapers, pull-ups, and wipes, and much, much more. As part of the medical benefits, beneficiaries are also enrolled under Pharmacare Plan F, which covers eligible prescriptions 100% up to age 18. A subcomponent of the medical benefits is called the School-Aged Extended Therapies benefit, which supports children aged roughly 5 to 18 years old. It helps cover the cost of out-of-school one-to-one therapies beyond the public school services, such as occupational therapy, speech and language therapy, physiotherapy, chiropractic, and massage. The second benefits group under the at-home program is called respite benefits, which are available for individuals up to age 19. The respite benefits provide annual funding for families to arrange respite care in or outside the home. Families may choose the type of respite services that best suit their needs, either in their home or at another location. The parent or guardian is responsible for arranging respite care, paying caregivers, managing their respite budget, and providing a record of respite expenditures. This is the at-home program guide, a full comprehensive guide for parents and healthcare professionals that can be found on the Ministry of Children and Family Development's website. For the purpose of this presentation, I will not be going over in detail what the at-home program consists of. The guide is very helpful and provides you with detailed information on eligibility criteria and what equipment and services are covered under the at-home program. With respect to the at-home program, here are a few tips and additional supports. It's important to apply early. There may be wait lists, especially for respite funding. For enhanced planning, we recommend that you contact your local children and youth with special needs, or CYSN, social worker, or the at-home program regional office. Phone numbers for each of the regional offices are available on the ministry's website. If you receive a denial or unsatisfactory decision, there is a complaint and appeals process, typically through MCFD's Client Relations or Medical Benefits Manager, depending on the benefit type. We will talk a little bit more about what to do for a denial or appeal later in this presentation. Let's talk about the at-home program assessment process. Once applications are submitted, with a sign-off from a doctor or nurse practitioner, they are then sent to the local regional office. Once received, the program contacts the family to arrange an in-home assessment to evaluate the child's abilities in the 4 daily living activities: eating, dressing, toileting, and washing. This assessment may also include discussions with other healthcare providers or observations in alternate settings. The in-home assessment is typically conducted by a health authority or MCFD-based assessor, often a registered nurse, sometimes a nurse with experience assessing children with complex needs. Their responsibilities include assessing functional dependency in daily living activities, reviewing medical documentation, possibly consulting with other professionals, and observing the child where appropriate. After completing the assessment, parents receive a copy of the assessment report. Once the nurse assessor has completed their assessment and created a report, a regional committee reviews the application, the assessment, and any supporting documentation. They make a recommendation regarding eligibility for medical and/or respite benefits. The regional committee's recommendation is then forwarded to the at-home program central office, where a final eligibility decision is made. A decision letter is then issued to the family. For approved cases, a Children and Youth with Special Needs, or CYSN social worker, then contacts the family to arrange services and supports. The CYSN worker is a great resource as they can help you make the most out of your at-home program supports. Let's talk a little bit about some specific considerations when applying for the at-home program for individuals with Down syndrome. First and foremost, you must be prepared to advocate and clarify. Children with Down syndrome are often thought of as friendly and eager to please, which may make them seem more independent during an assessment than they might be in real life. Be ready to clarify actual day-to-day needs, even if your child tries to demonstrate more independence than is typical. Let's look at the 4 areas of assessment: toileting, dressing, washing, and feeding. With respect to toileting, there are some specific considerations as when it comes to Down syndrome that might be important for you to note and for you to convey and communicate to your assessor. For example, most individuals with Down syndrome are delayed in toilet training and have high incidences of incontinence. This is obviously due to low muscle tone affecting their bladder control, sensory considerations, and difficulties with motor coordination. With respect to dressing, weaker fine motor muscles, challenges with visual motor integration, balance and coordination, and low muscle tone can make dressing routines more challenging for individuals with Down syndrome. Similarly with washing, sensory sensitivities, trouble washing thoroughly, motor coordination and balance, and with feeding, chewing, swallowing issues, gastrointestinal issues, oral motor delays, difficulties with pacing or overstuffing, and sensory issues can all make feeding a big challenge for individuals with Down syndrome. Your child's therapist can also write a letter of support to attest to the fact that individuals with Down syndrome have medical complexities. Therefore, they are required support as they're learning and growing. Support such as occupational therapy, speech-language pathology, and physiotherapy. You can also consider reporting on any co-occurring diagnoses, including autism, sensory processing disorder, seizures or sleep apnea, congenital heart disease, especially those that might limit stamina or coordination. This can strengthen your case for eligibility. So be sure to include all relevant diagnoses and healthcare information and how they affect daily functioning, not just medical needs. Let's talk about preparing for the in-home assessment. Before the assessment, it's important to understand the purpose. The assessment determines how much support your child needs within those 4 daily living activities. The nurse assessor will evaluate functional dependence, not just look at the diagnosis or the behavior. The assessor will look for dependence in 3 out of the 4 areas to qualify for the medical benefits, and then they will look for dependence in 4 out of the 4 areas to qualify for medical and respite benefits. It's also important to gather all documentation. Collect any recent medical reports, diagnoses, or letters from doctors, therapists, or specialists that explain your child's limitations. Include individual education plans or IEPs, or reports from your community occupational, physical, or speech therapists. You can also think about keeping a care journal. Track your child's daily routines for at least a week beforehand. How much help do they need to get dressed? Do they use adaptive equipment? How often do you assist with feeding or toileting? Are all some of the things you can keep track of, as this data can be very helpful for the assessor to see. And remember to use specific examples. For example, needs hand-over-hand assistance to brush teeth. Another consideration before the assessment is to prepare the environment. Allow the nurse to see all the assistive devices, the accessible setups such as in the bathroom or feeding stations that are required for a child to be able to participate in any of those 4 routines. Demonstrating how your home is adapted can validate your child's level of need. Let's now talk about what you can do during the assessment. First and foremost, it's important to be honest and specific. Describe what your child actually requires, not what you hope they'll eventually do. Avoid minimizing the need. Instead of saying, I can manage it, perhaps think about how you can minimize the need and help the assessor understand how much support your child really needs. For example, he needs help every time. Focus on functional limitations. Even if your child is independent in some areas, some of the times, the key is physical dependence in daily care and focusing on lack of consistency. Use clear language, such as needs full assistance with undressing and dressing. Cannot chew solid foods, uses G2 for nutrition. Or cannot initiate toileting, has consistent accidents. It's also important to think about how you're going to involve your child within this process. If your child is speaking, they may want to answer questions. Be present to clarify if they overstate their independence. For not speaking children, be ready to interpret their behavior and explain support strategies. Also think about using the show, not just tell approach. During the assessment, demonstrate how long it takes to change a diaper or prepare a meal, the effort involved in transferring your child into a bathtub, any physical adaptations you've had to make the process easier for yourself and your child. Showing your daily care realities helps the assessor see the full picture. Let's move on to what now you can do after the assessment. Once the assessment is complete, you can request a copy of the report and review it to ensure accuracy. If something feels misrepresented, contact the assessor or NCFD regional office before the final decision is made. Follow up with your CYSN social worker. If your child is approved, the social worker will guide you through accessing supports. If denied, ask for the rationale in writing and consider an appeal, especially if your child's functional needs are increasing with age. Let's now talk about reconsideration of applications and appeals. If you receive a denial, you have 20 business days from the date on the decision letter to request a reconsideration, where a different staff person reviews your application and any new information you submit. If that reconsideration is denied, you then have 7 days to submit a formal appeal. With respect to reapplying, there is no mandatory wait time to submit a completely new application for the at-home program. If your application was denied due to insufficient documentation or information, you may reapply immediately with enhanced supporting material. You can reapply as often as needed if new medical or functional evidence emerges. It is important to remember to read your denial letter carefully to understand the reasons for refusal. And if you believe additional evidence will help, then certainly file a reconsideration request or submit an appeal tribunal request if needed. Now let's try to focus on the 4 assessment areas and what you can do to help the assessor see the full picture. Let's start with eating. Some of the things the assessor might look for are whether your child can maintain good head control and positioning while eating. They might observe their sucking, swallowing, or chewing skills. Look for their ability to bring their hand to their mouth. Look for ability to open and close their hands. Look for their finger feeding skills, whether they can drink from a bottle or a cup, and whether they can feed themselves using utensils, whether it's solid food or liquid foods like soup. Some additional observations an assessor might do is is to talk to you about how skill development has looked like in the past year. Have they regressed in some of those skills or have they improved? Are they safe eaters with respect to their pacing or their positioning? How much endurance and effort is being done? Do they require specialized seating or any other equipment? And what are some interfering behaviors during mealtime routines? Some additional tips to think about is report on any sensory issues during mealtime and report any instances of choking, aspiration, food refusal, or health issues related to eating, as all of this information can be crucial for the nurse assessor to know when making their decision. Let's talk about toileting next. Assessors might look for whether your child is aware of being soiled, whether it's pee or poo. Can they initiate going to the bathroom? Can they manage their own pants and underwear and other clothing? Can they wipe on their own? Can they wash their hands? And can they manage menstrual care for those students that are older and getting assessed for the at-home program? Again, additional observations can include what skill development has looked like in the past year, any specialized seating or equipment that might be required, and interfering behaviors during the toileting routine. Some additional tips to think about. Report on any medical issues related to toileting, whether it's constipation or a neurogenic bladder. Report how often accidents happen, how long each toileting episode takes, and does it require more than one adult to complete the toileting routine. Report if your child requires specialized clothing to prevent accidents, such as onesies that zip in the back, and report on how many diaper and pull-up changes your child might go through in a day. All of these things provide the assessor with information on how challenging or severe the toileting routine is. Let's talk about washing and hygiene. Assessors might look for whether your child goes along with a washing routine. Are they able to copy or imitate actions, such as washing hands? Do they enjoy interacting with water? Can they access and turn on and off the faucet? Can they wash and dry their hands and face? Can they brush their teeth? Can they wash or bathe and dry themselves? Can they get in and out of the bathtub safely? Are they safe if unintended, in the bathtub or shower? Again, additional observations can include what skill development looks like. Do they require specialized equipment? And what are some of those interfering behaviors during the washing routine? Some additional tips can be reporting on any sensory challenges during the washing routine, report on how thoroughly your child washes their hands and their body, and report on how much help they need to follow the actual steps and sequences of washing and brushing. Finally, dressing. Again, assessors may look for what clothing your child can remove and what clothing they can put on. Pull-ups, diapers, pants, shirts and blouse, socks, stockings, shoes, and footwear. They might also look to see if your child can manage fasteners such as buttons, zippers, clasps, laces, velcros, and belts. Can they stand and sit with good balance to dress and undress themselves? Can they move or position their arms or legs to assist in dressing? Again, additional observations can include a discussion about what skill development has looked like in the past year, any specialized seating or other equipment, and what are some interfering behaviors during the dressing routine. Additional tips can include reporting on any medical equipment, such as orthotics or braces, that are required as part of the dressing routine and that make the routine more challenging, and report on any sensory issues during dressing routine as well. An additional area that is not officially assessed but is important to note is mobility. Assessors might look for things like your child's ability to maintain head control, especially if they're being assessed at a much younger age, their ability to roll over and crawl, their ability to sit with or without supportive equipment, any specialized equipment they might need to use for mobility, such as walker, wheelchair, or orthotics, and any specialized equipment they might need for transfers, such as lifts and slings. Remember, the assessor will ask you to outline challenges, needs, and concerns. The goal is to inform the assessors in all aspects of what at-home program could provide support for. While the assessors only look for the 4 daily living skills, washing, eating, dressing, and toileting, at-home program provides coverage for things like speech therapy and physiotherapy. So it is well within your right to comment on some of those challenges in those areas as well. Additional things to really focus on are your child's health history and current health status. Inform the assessor about communication challenges your child might face, mobility challenges, especially endurance, toileting challenges, of course, including need for incontinence supplies, what equipment needs they might have for mobility, for seating, or maybe even for things such as vision and hearing supports, what needs they have, and what is the value of community-based therapies for their development. So how much do they need OT, SLP, and PT support? And of course, respite needs are also very important to make clear to your assessor. You can also see in this chart below some of the areas that you might think about and possible considerations for assessment. So again, focus on daily care and not just the diagnosis. Remember that eligibility is based on function, not label. You remember to use specific examples. Show the true level of dependence. Be honest. Provide therapist or doctor letters. So this adds credibility and support for your application. Clarify your child's actual routine. Remember that some kids will perform better during their assessment. It is your job as the caregiver or the family member to help the nurse assessor understand what it actually looks like on a day-to-day basis. And remember to track care needs for about a week before the assessment. This will give you concrete evidence to share. Finally, some key takeaways. Remember to be honest, not just hopeful. Describe how your child functions now, not how you hope they will function in the future. Avoid phrases like, they're working on it. Instead, say, they still require full assistance. Number 2, use specific real-life examples. Instead of generality, say, she needs me to hold her arm while brushing her teeth, or he wears pull-ups and needs to be changed 4 times a day. Number 3, track caregiving tasks for a week. Again, keep a daily log of how often and how much help your child needs with dressing, toileting, washing, and feeding. This shows patterns and the true intensity of care. Number 4, don't understate your efforts. Parents often minimize their own work by saying, we manage, or it's just part of our routine. Be clear about how much time, physical effort, and supervision your child truly requires. Clarify the concept of independence. If your child can do something only with prompting, hand-over-hand support, or supervision, that is not full independence. Highlight what happens if you're not there to help them. Number 6, prepare documentation. Bring or submit therapist reports, including OT, PT, and SLP, specialist or pediatrician letters, IEPs, or school support documents. Documentation should highlight functional needs, not just diagnoses. Number 7, prepare for the in-home environment review. Make sure the assessor can see any assistive devices or adaptations, bath chairs, feeding supports, diapers, visual schedules. Let them observe real care routines if possible, even if it's a partial example. Number 8, manage assessment day expectations. Remember, your child may try to perform or appear more independent than usual. That's okay. The assessor knows this happens. Just be ready to clarify what's typical at home. Number 9, have a written summary ready. Bring a short one-page summary of your child's daily support needs. Include frequency, type of help, and any safety or behavioral concerns. Number 10, don't hesitate to follow up. After the assessment, ask for a copy of the report and review it for accuracy. If needed, submit clarifications or corrections before a final decision is made. And finally, think about framing your care in terms of dependency. Here are a few examples. If you say it requires full physical assistance too, that shows high dependency. If you say needs constant supervision during, that emphasizes safety or behavioral risk. Number 3, unable to complete this task without. This clarifies partial versus full independence. And finally, still in diapers, changed blank times a day. This quantifies the caregiving load. Remember, you know your child best. This assessment isn't about proving worth, it's about making sure the right supports are in place for your child to thrive and for your family to get the help that it needs.